चाबी ना तो मैं उसको एक प्लास्टिक में ये हिल रहा है बाहर।
उन्हें मेल करनी है क्या?
नहीं,
जल्दी करो, मेल तो करनी है ना। हाँ, उन्हें आईडी करो।
शेयर स्क्रीन कर लेना। कहाँ पे? यूट्यूब पे ना, मुझे रखने में भी लोगों को स्टार्टिंग लोग आ गए यहाँ पे दिखेगा ना, यहाँ पे। हाँ, हो गया स्टार्टिंग इसको। ये तो सभी दिख रहा है जो हम कर रहे हैं।
लिंक शेयर करना इसका।
कहाँ पे?
किसी में हो गया मेरे पास कर दो, मेरे पास कर दो।
व्हाट्सएप पे खुला नहीं। बाद में करेंगे। हाँ जी, हाँ बोलो। लैपटॉप से अब कोई आवाज ही नहीं है। मैम तो सामने बोलूंगी, मैं लैपटॉप में लगूंगी।
नहीं मैम तो वहाँ बोलेंगी ना, ये वहाँ माइक सेट कर दो। हाँ,
इन लेना चाहिए,
हाँ जी।
रूम में लेना चाहिए।
हाँ, मैं बस ऐड कर रही हूँ। ऐड
हाँ तो मैम वहाँ पे ज्यादा कंफर्टेबल है, मतलब उससे इंटरेक्ट करने में हमें भी आसानी है। उन्हें तो कुछ नहीं है, वो दोनों साइड में ही मरी हो रही है, पर इससे अभी हमारे स्टाफ पे आएगा ना तो वो इंटरेक्ट हो जाएगा।
आई थिंक हमें किसी और लैपटॉप में चलाना चाहिए पीपीटी, बिकॉज ये आता रहेगा फिर। ये जो के अंदर स्टार्ट पीपीटी में शो नहीं होना चाहिए ना सामने। प्रेजेंट करने के लिए प्रोजेक्टर से एक्स्ट्रा लैपटॉप कनेक्ट कर देते हैं, इससे पहले
दूसरा कहाँ है लैपटॉप? कौन सा पीछे तो ये इसी का ही होगा बैग।
हाँ, इसका पहले
नहीं पीपीटी से इंटरेक्ट होता है ना।
स्क्रीन पर नाम सुन
सेटअप देख लो।
चलिए कोई नहीं, आप इसी से स्टार्ट कराओ, इसी से चलते रहो। जो
जो आएंगे फिर
आते रहेंगे वो यहाँ ज्वाइन होते जा रहे हैं।
इनको बोलते बोलते ना कर दूसरा लैपटॉप आएगा। कितने
नहीं, अब इसी से होते जा रहे हैं, वो ऐड होते रहेंगे, बट ये आवाज आती है।
कितने ऐड हो गए?
19 22 22
हाँ जी मैम। अच्छा 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 अच्छा, ठीक है मैडम, ठीक है।
हमारी आवाज ना जाए उसके लिए।
वो आ रहा है तो मैच नहीं हो रही मुझे लगा।
Good afternoon, everyone. Sorry for delay. There was some connectivity issue. Welcome in afternoon session. The speaker of this session is Ritu Mittal ma'am, Assistant Professor in SDPG College of Studies. She did her PGDM from RIM Chandigarh in 1997. She did MPhil from Madurai Kamraj University. After that, she did PhD from Mewat University. She had 18 years experience for PG classes. Welcome, ma'am, in FDP NEP. We are eagerly waiting for your lecture, so please join us. Thank you.
अभी आज का माइक मैम को माइक ये वाला कैमरा बिल्कुल उनके फेस पे होना चाहिए।
इस तरह के हम इससे कनेक्ट कीजिए इसमें जो स्क्रीन
कनेक्टेड नहीं है क्या?
लेकिन इसमें
The only, I hope I am audible to all. The only constant phenomenon in the universe is change, and the proactive approach, that is beforehand preparation, response towards change, is the best method of adaptation towards change. Modern India is witnessing a very phenomenal change in the terms of education by the launch of National Education Policy 2020. I, Ritu Mittal, faculty of MBA from SD College of Management Studies, feel extremely privileged to be here, a part of this FDP program, which has been jointly organized by SDPG College Muzaffarnagar and IIT Roorkee. I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Fdp On Nep sir, Principal SD College, SDPG College Muzaffarnagar, Dr. Fdp ma'am, coordinator for the FDP program, and all the members of the FDP committee who have spared their precious time for taking this initiative. I would also like to mention and give my special thanks to my very dear friend, Vinita Malik, who spared her very precious time for extending her help in the PPT presentation and the technical aspect of my work. So I extend a very good afternoon again to all the scholars, to the galaxy of scholars who have joined this session in the offline and the online mode, and students of SDPG College. My topic for today's session is standard universities and college, as under the framework of National Education Policy 2020. Next slide.
Next slide. Sachin, bench.
A vision of National Education Policy 2020 holds that the new education system should be India-centered, which contributes towards the sustainability of our economy, of our country, and at the same time providing quality education to all the citizens of our country. Next slide. Vision is something which makes everyone work unitedly towards every work or the policy which has been incorporated by the government for the upliftment of the society and the country. National education policy has a very clear vision in connection to India-centered education, sustained contribution factor, then sustainability and quality education. In fact, 4 pillars of national education policy have been identified, that is assess, equity, accountability, and equality. This shows that everyone has to be responsible. Whoever is associated with teaching has to be responsible for the role he or she has been given, the instructor and the student as well. Yes. Coming to the introduction part, independent India has been largely been preoccupied with the issues of equity and access, and somehow, unfortunately, while pursuing these issues, a very important topic of quality education has been left behind. We cannot just sit and wonder about what has been left behind. Now is the time that we should gather our resources, we should gather all that has been left to us by great scholars, by great academicians, and contribute towards the potential the country has. The national education policy is one such measure. It plans to deliver quality education to each and every citizen so that they become contributors to the national economy on the one hand, and at the same time they are able to promote equity and access of education throughout the country. No, the previous one. Secondly, this is something which the government has in mind relating the contribution factor. And it's true also. I mean, a citizen just cannot sit back and feel and say that this is what I want from my government or this is what the government should do from me. But as an enlightened citizen, a very important part is what kind of a role are they playing in the society. The NEP 2020 aims to revise and revamp all aspects of education sector, its regulation and governance. Governance is like what all committees, what all councils we have who are looking after the accreditation or whatever, the governance, the regulations, and it also has in mind how to create a name of India in the 21st in the 21st century, especially in the education field. Because 21st century means everyone is going global. Countries who are not going global cannot survive. You need to have a global approach for everything. If you are studying, it should be acceptable globally. If you are giving exams, it should be according to the global standards. If you have a degree, it should be globally accepted because global acceptance brings employment and confidence. This is one thing. Now, 21st century, the government of India has very firmly has stand on this that whatever they are doing, it has to be in accordance with a value system. No country, no system can flourish if they disassociate themselves with their value system or with their culture. We have seen, we are witnessing a phenomenal change in the culture or and you can say in the value system of different with the traditional value system, because value system is something which gives an ultimate bonding to just not to the family, but it gives a bonding to the organizations, to corporates also. If each of us we have a different value system, we cannot have belief in one system, and there will be, there will be kind of I don't find it right. Might be this is the next approach we should adhere to. So that kind of confusion is going to be there, and if we have a strong value system or a platform, we would be straight away marching towards achieving our goals. Education empowers its citizens, no doubt about it. And the government of India has very clearly identified that it wants to empower its citizens, every citizen, through the medium of education, starting from school till university. So a very major, a very important and a remarkable feature of national education policy is access to quality education. Everyone should have, everyone who is interested, and even if he or she is not interested, he should be promoted through the medium of, he should be educated rather through the medium of advertisements, through the medium of social talks, so that he develops an acumen, he develops an interest कि मुझे भी पढ़ना है. That is something very important, because because education is something which makes a person enlightened for life. It's just not enlightenment about a particular subject, it's just not knowledge about a particular subject, but it is enlightenment, how you perceive your life to be. This is one thing. Secondly, the national education policy has a psychological aspect also. It definitely creates a lot of emphasis on how well groomed you are, how technical, how problem solving you are. These are the skills of the 21st century, whether you have creative thinking, analysis, reasoning, team building, and problem solving. Because problem solving comes as a genuine and a very important quality of a team leader. Now, coming to the NEP 2020 stamping, actually the policy which came into force in 2020 was basically shaped as a draft in 2019, but on 29th July 2020, the Union Cabinet of India took a very important step in reshaping the education sector of India through the medium of National Education Policy 2020. The policy has been, the National Education Policy 2020 was created by a 9-panel committee which was headed by Dr. Krishna Swami Kasturirangan. He was the ex-chairman of Indian Space Research Organization, ISRO as that is called in the short form. They renamed the MHRD department as the Department of Education. Like now in India, the second department is Ministry of Education. And also, this was the first policy which came into being after a gap of 34 years. The last education policy that India witnessed was in 1986. Next slide. This is the NEP timeline. NEP timeline is basically how the government of India, in association or in accordance and the rule of the state, the NEP has to be incorporated in the different states of India. It's a very long journey. It's a very long journey because the national education policy starts from school. It starts from play and basically starts from nursery to university. So the government has tried to be very inclusive in its approach. They have tried to cover each and every aspect of education, though we are talking about college and university education, but as such, the scenario of education, the scenario of the policy is huge. So the implementation of NEP is going to take some time, and Meghalaya has been the first state that has promised that they would implement NEP in their state at the soonest. The other states who have promised to implement NEP are Telangana, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, Madhya Pradesh, and might be new states have also given their vision to the government of India, but statistics have not been available. So I did not include their name in the presentation. Next slide. Now, coming down to the history of the national education policies, the first major Indian national education policy was launched in the year 1968 under the Prime Ministership of Mrs. Indira Gandhi. She and her government launched the national education policy in 1968 after the recommendations of the Education Commission in the year 1964 to 66. After 1968, another major education policy was incorporated in the year 1986 when Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, and his government launched another national education policy. The major thrust of this policy was on adult education. That is a very important part. And the second was empowerment of minorities. After these two major national education policies, a modification was done in 1992 under the Prime Ministership of Shri P.V. Narasimha Rao, who incorporated the system of one entrance test for one common entrance test examination for professional and technical programs. This is a brief history of national education policy. Next slide. Then these are few objectives which I have enlisted so that I am able to talk about these objectives in my talk today. The first one is I should say that such programs give us an opportunity to study topics which we never think of. I teach MD students, and I would not have studied MD, but because of this beautiful MDP program, I got a chance to study this. So the first objective is to study National Education Policy 2020 in context of higher education. Second is to study and hold a talk about standard universities and colleges. And third one is to identify various challenges and opportunities that lie in front of creating world-class Indian institutes, Indian universities and colleges. I hope it is clear. I mean, it's equally by all. Shall we zoom?
Clear है सबको?
Okay. Ancient India was known as the golden bird throughout the world. Our great motherland was abundantly blessed with beautiful natural resources and a world-class education system of gurukuls for children and universities like Nalanda and Takshila for adults and for young generation. They were jewels in the crown of the glorious Mother India. The education system that prevailed during the time of Nalanda and Takshila focused on a comprehensive approach of intelligence, academics, and overall development of an individual so that they were able to shape their careers and they were able to contribute towards societal reform also. It shaped scholars who contribute towards the growth of the nation and the society. Now, in the 21st century, as India is moving towards a fourth industrial revolution, we can very well see that there is going to be a very high demand of skilled people who can perform these jobs. Because skilled job definitely means a level of education and a particular degree which makes a person competent, or you can say competent or qualified in terms of formal structure to do a particular job. So naturally, in this 21st in the 21st century, the number of people, the number of students, young students who are going to be a part of Indian universities and colleges is going to increase. Secondly, A very important requirement of 21st century education is the multidisciplinary approach. Multidisciplinary approach means a person can have expertise or a master's or a bachelor's degree in one subject, but he should also have a equally good knowledge of another subject in which he or she has an interest, or you can say acumen for. Because such a kind of a multidisciplinary approach definitely helps an individual to become more enjoyable. It also reduces the level of stress, the level of anxiety which is created in an individual, and makes them more confident, makes them have a contributing approach that is required in the generation of today. Because whenever you are thinking of just about yourself or your job or something which is going to be beneficial for you, that means we tend to stay in a micro environment. But when we talk of a macro environment, we have to go outside the boundaries. We have to move out of the comfort zone and see what else we can do apart from the degrees which have been awarded to us. Next slide. This is a small information about the universities and colleges. How do they function in India? As such, we are familiar. The higher education system in India includes both public and private universities. Public universities are supported by the government, that is, it can be central government or it can be state government. The private universities are mostly run by various bodies and societies. The universities in India are recognized and approved by UGC, that is University Grant Commission, which came into power by the UGC Act of 1956. Apart from UGC, we have around 15 councils who have been appointed by the Government of India for the purpose of accreditation and for the purpose of affiliation and coordination. Now, coming to the number of colleges that as the NEP draft 2019 provides, we have around 40,000 colleges across the country. They include both private and government colleges, professional and routine. Next slide. These are the statistics covering the number of universities in India. It has been provided by UGC on their site. As for this, we have 460 state universities. Deemed to be universities are 128. Central universities, which are totally governed by the Government of India, 54. And private universities are 430. So the total of the total universities in India as on 25th of November 2022 is 1072. Extension of this table is there are universities who have been covered under section 12B, and their number have also been specified. Basically, section 12B tells us that these universities are entitled to get grant from the government. I mean, the financial grant or projects or whatever that is available to them from the government. Next slide. As the topic of my talk is higher education, that is universities and colleges, which have been identified in the National Education Policy 2020. So a number of challenges has been identified by the panel by the members. They have to be enumerate the draft also. We are a progressing economy. We are a progressing society, and naturally, it is a very natural phenomena that every aspect of the society has some challenges in fact. We are related with education. Education is our topic. So we are today going to talk about the challenges which are facing our education systems, especially the higher education system. A very paramount challenge which higher education faces is the fragmentation of our colleges. Fragmentation of our colleges means that we differ, the colleges and the universities, they tend to differ either on the pattern of their ownership or on the pattern of their studies or on the pattern of how they teach. Now, I have tried to collect a little information, as you can see in the slide also, that over 40% of the colleges, they run a single program. That is, they are monophonic colleges. And that definitely takes us away from being multidisciplinary. The approach of the 21st century is multidisciplinary. And if we are having more than 40% of colleges which are running a single course, how can they contribute towards a multidisciplinary education towards a system of multidisciplinary education? Over 20% of the colleges have enrollment below 100. That is, the number of students who are coming to the colleges is quite less. It can be because of a number of reasons. Might be there's a lack of access, there's a lack of infrastructure, or you can say lack of awareness among the students. But 20% is a big number. And only 4% of colleges have enrollment over 3,000. Now, these are the colleges who are doing a multidisciplinary job. Because when a college has a student strength of over 3,000, it definitely means they must be running around 5 to 6 programs. And that is the reflection of a multidisciplinary institution. Now, a very dull part of this presentation of education is that there are colleges in which the number of faculty is negligible. So even if the students come to those colleges and they don't find competent and knowledgeable faculty who can teach them, who can guide them, who can give them avenues for their future, they definitely lose interest and they stop coming to the colleges. And as such, the GER, that is the gross enrollment ratio, definitely gets damaged. I'll be talking about GER in the next slide. In the coming slides. Next is the next challenge, which has been identified in the NEP 2020, is early specialization and streaming of students into disciplines. I have already mentioned about these monofold institutions. This has been identified as a major challenge here. India's higher education has developed very rigid boundaries. Flexibility is something which we need right now, desperately. And the boundaries are such that a student has to abide by them. There is no scope of experimentation, there is no scope of innovation, there is no scope of a change that can be incorporated into the system So that definitely creates a challenge for the learner. And as I already discussed, for institutions, that is the number of institutions who are promoting a single program. The most are, yes, are mainly professional and vocational institutes. Even our engineering and medical colleges, they are also kind of monophore institutes because if they plan to revamp, if they plan to extend, they can definitely revamp and extend at least on research, which is not happening in most of the colleges of engineering and medical colleges. Now, the second point is strictness about disciplines. As I had mentioned earlier, multidisciplinary approach means a person is expert in one subject, but he should be given equal footage. He should be given independence. उससे पूछा जाना चाहिए, आपका second most preferred subject कौन सा है? If this chance is given to a student, naturally he'll come out of the barriers. He'll have more avenues to explore. Might be a person who is good in engineering, if he or she is given a class in literature, might be is able to develop readable, a very readable, you can say, articles or something which is of interest to people and which will also educate people. It is just not telling people what is to be done, it is telling them ऐसा होता है and आप भी ऐसा कर सकते हो. This is something which needs to be done, and this is a challenge actually. The employability, and I believe in one thing, because I teach professional students. For this, a little association, or you can say a little interaction between industry and universities has to be achieved. Because if corporates are such that they would just focus on productivity, I mean the kind of revenue that a person is generating, and they are not focusing on the quality of life, other achievements which a person can contribute, then definitely people will say, it's okay, fine, I'm fine, being restricted to a single study which I have pursued because my orders, they don't permit me to cross my boundaries and explore something new. It again calls for a very elaborate partnership between employers and students who are coming out of the universities and colleges. Next point is, next slide. Lack of access, especially in socio-economically disadvantaged areas. India is a very big country, very big, and some areas are very well developed, some areas are developing, and some areas are underdeveloped. So naturally, access of education is just not education, it is access of every facility of life, every amenity of life is a challenge. But since we are talking about education here, so I would be restricting myself to education only. Because of the lack of connectivity of some areas, and you can say lack of awareness among some people who are in very far off areas from the mainstream, accessibility of education becomes a challenge. Students have to, though the government is trying its level best to remove this challenge, where a number of colleges are being opened and number of higher education institutes have recently been opened in all the areas in all the states of the country. But still, the far off areas, the remote areas, the villages, and you can say even smaller blocks of the society. They are deprived. Why the students there are deprived? Because commuting to the main city for education takes a lot of time and energy and money also, which might be a problem for students. So first of all, this would definitely take time, but online education can help here, so that even if they have an access to technology, as which is happening in this time, they can definitely take advantage of that technology and gain certain degree or diploma if possible for them. Now, as I had mentioned earlier, GER, that is the gross enrollment ratio. Gross enrollment ratio is, suppose 100 students join a school and say in class 1, and after class 5, around 50 students leave the school. So that is, we have 50% GER, that is gross enrollment ratio. Now, this is not a very positive picture, because we study in human resource also that no matter how many employees you have, but a good company should always be able to retain its employees so that they can perform in every situation. Same as with students also. The gross enrollment ratio, though it cannot be controlled fully, it definitely there are a number of factors which influence um, the status of the student. But the gross enrollment ratio statistics show that it has increased to 25% in the last years. The government of India wants to increase it to 50% by the year 2035, so that the gap between people who have gone for higher education and people who have not gone for higher education be minimized. This again means awareness and telling people that higher education is something which is very important, which will make you more competitive and more employable. Now, theoretically, it means that we have to double the present enrollment of 35 million students, and definitely, if we have 35 is like 70 million students coming from colleges, it would be so many avenues of teaching, of jobs, of skill development, and all possible opportunities for people who are associated with education. Next slide. Lack of teacher and institutional autonomy. Autonomy means being given power by the system. Now, definitely, we cannot have a free reign about our work, but I sincerely believe that if we have to explore, if we have to innovate, if we have to be creative, we have to give a little diversion from autonomy. We have to empower our teachers and our institutions also. Teachers just cannot sit and just cannot teach the syllabus and expect that okay, my student is going to have this particular skill or this particular mindset after my session or after my class, because until unless they are given a chance to experiment. Experiment leads to observation, and observation and data leads to results. So if in case we have to see that whether a particular idea has worked for us or not worked for us, teachers should be given a chance to experiment with by the approval by the seniors or by the management. Same is with autonomy of the colleges. Now, colleges definitely they have to abide by a particular curriculum, a particular pedagogy, a particular style of teaching, and then they have to conduct the assessments also, exams. In some cases, it is internal. In some cases, it is semester. In some cases, it is yearly. That differs from course to course, and that is justified by the teaching, by the kind of by the kind of material which is being taught, the kind of education which is associated with. But somehow, in today's scenario, the term autonomy has been has been associated with the term funding. Say, if in case if I have an autonomous college, it means I have to self-sustain. I get no grants from the state government or the central government. But that limits my operations. I cannot explore because even might be colleges also have a restriction of funds. They do not have so liberal funds. So how will they motivate their teachers? How will they innovate? How will they promote innovation or any kind of research activities in their college, which is a very important part or a very important factor, which is going to be discussed in the 21st century. And rather, it's being discussed. Every day we talk about it's a research work, it's a research research project which we are handling, and so that bridge has to be crossed. And for generating research activities or any kind of conducive activity which sets you apart from the general colleges or the universities and which creates a learning environment, you need funds. So the concept of funding has to be liberalized. It should be merit based. How well a college or a university is performing, rather than on the basis of ownership, that whether it is a private university or a public university. Next slide. A very important challenge of which has been identified in NEP 2020. It is somehow related to human resource management also, because in human resource management, it is very well discussed and elaborated that the most talked about, or you can say the most favored corporate houses are the most favored because they retain their employees. They have everything taken care about their employees. Employees just have to perform, take their remuneration, and take their benefits, a lot of incentives, and go home happily. They have a talk about career management path for the employees. Same thing has to be this kind of a challenge has been identified in the education sector. Somehow there is a limitation of career management application.
Switching time.
क्या करूँ इसमें?
Because no matter a teacher is a teacher, but a teacher always needs a hand who can take him or her ahead. They also need to to feel confident. They also need this feeling of security that okay, this is something which I am going to land up doing, say 5 years from now or 10 years from now. Now, as you can see in the second slide also, I have I have mentioned all the challenges which can be identified relating to jobs while you are working in a university and a college. Vertical mobility, then salary structures, and this has had the negative effect of severely disincentivizing quality and innovation at all levels. The lack of research work and funding at universities and colleges. Research is one of the most talked about word in the 21st century. People are talking, I want to be research, I want to be research, right? Because they feel there will be students, especially who are doing BS, MS, or who are doing traditional master's courses in science, they have this thing that they want to be research, because now they have realized that for whatever they have studied in their degree courses and their PG courses, research would enable them to find something which has the application part of the theory and practicals that they have learned during their graduation and their post-graduation days. And research activity is something which definitely differs a developing nation from a developed nation, because it gives you a step ahead. If a country or a society is research based, they would have n number of things, whether it is from daily life, it is from defense sector, it is from medical, it is from transportation, ticketing, running a mall, running a banking system, running a communication system. Everywhere you want to make an impression, you want to be a leader, you should have a research object or a concept in your hand. Now, the separation of higher education from research activities has been a challenge in our country. Whatever we have studied, whatever we teach in universities and colleges, is somehow, it does not combine the two. It does not combine academics and research. Students, they themselves have to explore, if in case I want to go for research, what shall I do next? They do not have a ready-made structure which has been supported by the educational fraternity, that if you do this course and you want to create a name for yourself in research, go ahead. This is the career path for you, or these are the universities, or these are the colleges in which you will be given a very guiding career path or things like that. So definitely, so ultimately what happens is, student, after they do their PG or they do their post PG, they start working for employment, they start working for placement. If they are taught about research, if they see research happening around them, it would definitely help in developing a mindset about research. Now this is, if you can just read the third point. Small research projects and seminars, if held in higher education for students, it would prepare them for future research projects, and it also helps to mitigate their apprehensions and outlook towards research. Research is slow. I mean, if students are given a chance to give their presentations, to give their little findings on topics which are a part of their curriculum, they'll have an idea how to conduct research. And might be 1 year down the line or two years down the line, they'll start thinking about what can I do next? What can I do which has been taught to me in theory? This is how the developed nations have been able to develop management concepts, especially Japan. Now, the next is a regulatory system allowing fake colleges to thrive while constraining excellent innovative institutions. Every system has some lacunas, and it is one of those points. But we cannot do much about them because we have to function. We have to function in our position, in our power. But somehow, yes, it does affect the performance, the competition, and since one thing which I feel is that people who are not real in the education sector, they try to gain students by advertisement. They have very glamorous advertisements and billboards, and generally students, when they see such kind of flashy advertisements and billboards, they get carried away by those and they take admissions in those colleges and universities. And the institutes, the universities and colleges who are there, who have been there for a decade, for a century, because we don't spend on advertising, we spend on quality teaching. So definitely students become a victim of approval to fake colleges and universities. And one more thing, if one student lands up in a fake college and university, definitely it would break his trust. He will not be ready to take admission in the genuine college because that calls for both the economic and emotional loss. Economic is also there, emotional is also there, and might be if he has one or two siblings, they'll also feel पढ़ाई का कोई फायदा नहीं है, fake colleges होते हैं, school तक पढ़ो, and then this is the I don't know, I'll join my family business or I'll do something else. So this should be controlled at the earliest, all fake colleges and universities that are there in the system. These have been the challenges that have been identified in the National Education Policy 2020, but a performer always moves ahead. We have to overcome the challenges. We just cannot sit back by looking at the challenges because challenges gives us a road on which we have to walk to give the results. So now we'll be talking about how to overcome the challenges. This is a little introduction. This is a little theory about how can we overcome challenges. The first major move that has to be taken to overcome challenges are moving towards a higher educational system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities and colleges. My dear friends and seniors, as I have been mentioning again and again in my talk today, that 21st century is the century of multidisciplinary approach. Multidisciplinary does not mean that it creates some kind of a stress. It just means you have to be a 360-degree person. You have to be a multi-dimensional person. A person should be knowledgeable, a person should be spirited, he should have a good knowledge of, he should be an expert in one subject, minimum, expert in one subject, and he should be given a chance to study one more subject of his particular liking, of his taste, so that it would help to create entrepreneurs in the society. Now, multidisciplinary approach can be inculcated in the following ways, or the following benefits have been identified. If we have multidimensional, multidisciplinary colleges and universities in our system, it would give students a lot of opportunity for positive interaction among each other. They would be able to talk. They would be able to gather information, something which is not happening now. People, the youngsters of today are stuck back, or they can say they are glued to the screens of their mobile phones. Mobile phones don't talk. They just furnish them with information which may be correct, which may not be correct. So, and one more thing, when we are just glued to screens, we lose or we do not gain a humanitarian interaction pattern, which helps us to socialize, which helps us to be more knowledgeable and to be more vibrant, which helps us to gain from each other. Now, if we have multidisciplinary universities and colleges, we would have vibrant societies, vibrant students. Students would be interacting among each other, and students will be interacting among themselves, with their seniors and with their teachers also. Secondly, it would definitely help to make students better, because education is not something which gives everyone or anyone a degree, a PG degree or a UG degree. It has to make them a better human being also. They should be given, they should have a reasoning approach. They should have an ethical approach. They should understand that we are not here to take things from the system. We have to contribute to the system, and then and only then we can take the road of, or we can take the journey of fruitful education ahead. We cannot be just at the receiver's end. We have to be at the giver's end. We have to be at the contributor's end. This is one overhauling approach which has to be taken by every individual, whether is an instructor or a student. Next, the third point is it would help develop interdisciplinary research work also. That is, we have like in management is an interdisciplinary subject. People who have done research in economics and psychology and sociology, they can very well contribute to the management field, because ultimately technology is something which happens for a part of the day, but interaction and the pattern of interaction is something which happens for 24 hours a day. So that has to be there as a part of research program, which would definitely help, which would definitely come out from the interdisciplinary section. Then, last but not least, something which is very important, it would greatly help in efficient and effective utilization of resources and sharing of resources. Next. As you can see in this slide, this is moving towards a more liberal undergraduate education. In the last, I think, 3 to 4 years, India is catching up with the concept of liberal arts. Many of us are not so well aware about it. What is liberal arts? Actually, liberal arts is something which makes a person have an option of selecting from a number of subjects which can be from humanity, which can be from commerce, and which can be from science. Suppose a student who has done 12th, class 12 from PCB, and he or she wants to take biology in graduation along with economics and psychology. So liberal arts gives that kind of independence or that kind of opportunity for the student. Now the advantage of such a system of education is that if a student who is willingly taking biology with economics and psychology, and he or she takes up one subject in PG or post PG, we will have a person who is equally good for teaching or conducting or taking up a job or research activity in both biology and economics and psychology. So there would not be any lack of people from different subjects. We would have professionals who are experts in subjects which cover every aspect of academics. There would not be a shortage of expert teachers also. This is something which is very, which should be taken care of, because somehow students don't feel like studying humanities and commerce and languages. Languages which teach us how to speak. अगर language नहीं हो तो हम बोल भी नहीं पाएंगे. But somehow, because we don't have employability and we don't have recognition, so and somehow those combinations are not available in the course. So that is why our students feel, if I have to study science, I have to study science. I cannot combine any two subjects of my own preference. So this is something which is very important, and it's an approach which should be called for. A very important part of this liberal undergraduate education is, as I mentioned, that employability, skills and aptitude will definitely multiply. There will be more number of exit and entry options for a student. I don't want to do a job in science. Okay, fine. I can take up a job in economics, or I can take up a job in language, or I can take up a job in psychology, or I can do some freelancing which gives me satisfaction and helps to make my living also. That kind of a confidence should also come in the students. They should not run after jobs. Education should not just give degrees. It should make entrepreneurs and people who can develop their own business houses also. This is something which is very important. Next slide. As an important challenge which was identified was moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy. Now this will definitely take time, because we have a structure. We cannot change the structure overnight. But yes, a little space of experimentation should be given to students who are very much willing to change the system, who are very willing to change the method of education, I mean the method of teaching in their class, the method of learning, or you can say when we want to include presentations in the classes, so that students gain in-house, or you can say in college or in university confidence. Definitely the number of students in the colleges and the universities is quite huge, but even if we are able to give this concept in a group basis, that one will come, then the second will come in the next group, things will definitely take a move, and experimentation and observation would help to create skills and also a positive environment in the positive learning environment in the institutions. Same is with assessment pedagogy, that you have to next slide. Yeah. Now, curriculum, pedagogy, and assessment shall move away from memorizing facts and mechanical procedures. The examination system in higher education will be recast. That is, it cannot be just objective, it cannot be just subjective, it has to be a combination of both the two. Because as I mentioned earlier, that 21st century is the century of being global. Whatever is being done, it has to be accepted globally if we want to create a footing for our country on the global area. And education is one such area of concern in which India wants to establish, or India wants to establish its name as a very preferred education hub for international students. In fact, some of the higher education institutes are opening their overseas campuses also, and the number is increasing. I mean, it was restricted to few private institutes, but the government institutions have also opened their campuses in different countries across the globe. Now, the last is evaluation will be guided by curricular objectives and educational goals. Quality higher education in Indian languages will also be implemented, and it has been implemented lately also, as we saw, I think 2 months back or something. It has been incorporated in one of the professional sectors. Last but not the least, overcoming challenges, that is establishment of a national research foundation. A body shall be set up which should promote, or which shall promote research coming from every university, every college, and every discipline. If a student has a research mindset, it means he or she is able to think out of the box. He is able to move out of the comfort zone. So definitely it is the responsibility of the system to give that particular student, that particular scholar, comfortable, or you can say a kind of encouragement that he or she is able to conduct the research. For this, the National Research Foundation will help to grant funds to the scholars who want to take up research, and it would be conducted under the mentors from under the highly qualified mentors who may be nearing their retirement in higher education institutes. Now, if all such things are put together and they have the contribution of the higher education institute, then definitely research which has been on the back foot till now will definitely see a very bright future in India also. And yes, and if our students they develop an acumen, and we have a system which supports research, it will help India to be a developed country very soon. Now, coming to the conclusion part, I have whatever I have presented in my talk has been included in the National Education Policy Draft of 2019. In this, we have very well learned that education is a very we have seen that education is one of the most noble professions in our society. the same time, education is an ever-evolving, learning, dynamic, and a complex discipline because it has a number of forces that come together. It has three participants: the state, the instructor, and the student. The willing and learning mindset of all the three participants, that is the state, the instructor, and the student, is all our country needs to take our country ahead and to make it a global leader in education. Definitely, next is, if we are able to give quality education to our students, we would be making them competitive, we would be making them confident, excellent performers who will contribute not only to their well-being, but to the well-being of the society and to the well-being of the world as well. Summing up, education is not the learning of the facts, but the training of the minds to think. It is, we should have such a kind of an education and a learning atmosphere that our students, scholars who come to our colleges, who come to our universities, they are just not able to, they just do not learn, they think, what am I doing? What is going to be the result of this? Whether am I contributing? Whether I have done something fruitful related to my education? This is what is going to make them a responsible citizen who would definitely broaden his thinking horizon and become contributors to the world and humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for this wonderful lecture. If you have some doubt, then you can clear with ma'am. Or online participants, if you have some doubt, then you can clear it with ma'am. I think there is no doubt. Everything is clear to everyone. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bas.
इसमें कुछ दिखाना है नहीं ना, इसमें तो कुछ नहीं शो करना। Thank you, ma'am, for your valuable words. I'm sharing you feedback link, so please feedback form आप भर दीजिए अभी। और नेक्स्ट सेशन कल है 10 बजे से, प्रोफेसर सीमा जैन मैम का, ठीक है? ऑनलाइन ही होगा वो, तो आप ऑनलाइन ही अटेंड कर सकते हैं। थैंक यू। फीडबैक दोबारा